Welcome to another edition of the USF Football Radio Show. We've got a home game, and for the first time this year, we've got a short week. It's a Friday night game, conference play. Tulsa Golden Hurricane coming to town. We'll talk a lot about that game as the hour continues. Safeties coach Wes Neighbors will join us. Mekhi LaPointe as well. Right now, our head coach is with us, Jeff Scott, and Coach, looking back at Philadelphia, boy, it was a painful one, and it was painful in part because some teams, some parts of the team really responded, played well. You put yourself in a position to win. You can look at the positives, but I know the objective was to come up there and win a football game.
Yeah, obviously very disappointed, really more disappointed for our players than I am disappointed in our players. Because I really felt like that was going to be our day and our opportunity, because they've been working extremely hard, and they've been doing a lot of things that we've asked them to do. And, I think, a really good moment in that game that told you about this team right now, where they are mentally, is, we're on the road. We've got off to a poor start to our season. We're 1-3. We're, 13-point underdogs. We go out there, in the first 7 minutes of the game, we're down 10-0. And a lot of teams in that position, would have just said, hey, here we go again. It's not our day. And our guys continued to fight and, got all the way up to where we had an 11-point lead. And unfortunately, I met with the team yesterday and went through everything. We had 210 plays in the game, and I would say probably 175 of those plays were winning plays for the USF Bulls. But unfortunately, there was about 10 or 11 plays in that game that really ended up being the difference. And right now, where we are as a team and as a program, our margin of error is really small, right, when you're trying to get over the hump. And, I think the biggest thing offensively is the 3 turnovers. And not just the fact that we turned the ball over 3 times, but exactly where it was on the field. To have 2 turnovers on the, minus 15-yard line right there, we just gave them 10 points right off the bat. And then we had our other fumble was going in, right about the 12-yard line. We're going to have an opportunity to either get 7 or 3, and we turned the ball right back over. And, so there's a lot of lessons there. I think defensively, we had opportunities on third down multiple times to get off the field. And whenever we didn't wrap up and make the tackle, or we weren't where we were supposed to be, and they continued to move the ball, then they scored touchdowns. And, at the end of that kind of game, it comes down to 2 points. There's a lot of plays going back. But, overall, I think we took a step forward as a program and as a team. I think we're getting closer. And, it's just really down to those final details to be able to get over that hump.
Coach, you actually spoke on my question for you. Did the team take a step forward? Because I think that's important. I don't always think that wins and losses are an indication of a team's progress. What I can say, it's very exciting watching you guys play, primarily because so many guys on offense are getting involved and so many guys on defense are having production. I want to ask you about the targeting on Antonio Greer. How do you feel like they do you feel like that was targeting, right? I mean, I saw his shoulder make a simultaneous contact with his with the offensive player's body as his helmet did. I just think it was a tough call.
Yeah, on the field, I thought that it was a clean call, and then just watching the replay and the jumbotron, I thought it was a clean call. But it's a subjective call, right? I mean, I think we could all sit here for hours and watch multiple clips, and all of us have a different idea. And number one, we want to always tackle with our head up. We don't want it to be close. Really, for our guys' safety and for the safety of the opponent, right? Nobody really wants to have anybody get hurt out there. But I told Greer this morning, hey, I'd rather you be aggressive going to make those tackles than stop and wait, because I think coming off the defensive performance the week before against East Carolina, we just had a lot of guys standing around, and I felt like our guys attacked a lot more, and it was a tough break. We finally get to a point at maybe first or second time all year where we have Greer and Boyles out there playing, and then have the targeting and have Greer out of the game. It's just 1001 on our list of adversity that we've faced this year.
Well, I thought another character moment for the offense in this game was the last drive where things had really turned and all of a sudden it's 39-31 and you got to get all the way down the field, and Bulls did that methodically and got into the end zone, and that led up to the 2-point conversion. Tell us a little bit, if you will, about that play and about that sequence toward the end of the game.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. We got to play the next play, and by the time we got the ball back there with about 4 minutes left, we already made enough mistakes to lose a game, right? And we still have an opportunity to drive down. So again, you're looking for some small wins along the way that are eventually going to lead to the one win that matters, which is the scoreboard. But I did think that drive said a lot about our offensive players, the way that they moved the ball down. And, unfortunately on the 2-point play, we thought we had something schemed up, and, their guy, they had an extra guy there, and they executed a little bit better. And we'll learn from that, I think, as coaches and as players. Whenever we get in those situations, we got to make it count. So I think that's a tough one. Sometimes those hurt worse than the ones where you get blown out or something. But when you're really in the game and you really feel like you executed the majority of the game in order to win, and as hungry as this team has been for a win, that one really hurt our guys and hurt our staff. But, hey, we got a quick week, right? We don't have time to sit there and, think about what if and what we could have done. Really, yet we came in yesterday evening and watched the corrections and talked about that and just said, hey, let's be honest. Let's look at it. Let's see the reason that we lost the game. Let's don't think big picture and all the other things that may be said out there. Let's point out exactly what the difference was, and let's learn from it, and then let's move on and let's apply it, because we're going to be in that same situation later, hopefully this week and in our second half of the season, and we want to finish in a different way than we did last Saturday.
Coach, what's to be said about the lack of production from a standpoint of getting after the quarterback? 5 sacks on the year. Antonio Greer has 3 of those sacks. You don't typically see that from a stacked linebacker. Is it because of Dwayne Boyles, who's typically that outside guy and one of your better rushers on defense, being out, or just overall what's to be said about it?
Yeah, we really haven't been close, to be honest. We did have an opportunity right there, and that was one of the plays we showed our guys. It was maybe 3rd and 9 there on their second to last drive when they went down and scored, and we had Dwayne free right there in front of the quarterback, sack him. They're going to punt it to us. I believe maybe they were up maybe 1 at the time, and we're going to drive down and either score a touchdown or kick the game-winning field goal. We were right there to make the play, and we just didn't make it. And I know Dwayne, he makes that play 9 times out of 10, and so that's you got some of your best players, right? Our quarterback on offense turning the ball over, and one of our leaders on defense not finishing a play. And those are the things that you have to learn from. And I have a lot of faith in both of those young men that they'll be able to correct that. But yeah, we just gotta when we do get opportunities to win at the line of scrimmage and to get back there to the quarterback, we've got to make those sacks count. There was a couple times that maybe we had an opportunity and just didn't finish.
People who don't think smaller running backs can run between the tackles have a game tape to watch now, because I thought Ford and Joyner were both terrific, getting the really tough yards, and the offensive line seemed to open up a little room for them.
Yeah, I thought that we did some good things running the ball. I felt like our negative plays came when we were trying to throw the ball down the field. And, in retrospect, maybe we should have ran the ball a little bit more after going back and watching the video, because I really felt like the offensive line did a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage. And I felt like our backs were running hard and really, allowed us to kind of stay in rhythm. We also had a 95-yard drive earlier, in the game, and a lot of that was due to the rhythm that we had and balance, being able to run the ball. So, I feel really good about what we're getting out of Johnny Ford and Kelly Joyner. You know, I'm just really looking for one of the bigger backs to really step up. We need, Darian Felix continues to be injured, and he hasn't been able to be out there with us. Leo Parker is a guy that's coming on that I think is getting really close. And then we also moved Daquan Evans to running back on Wednesday last week. So hopefully with another week to get ready, we'll be able to see one of those bigger guys kind of step forward and really give us the complement that we need to go with Ford and Joyner.
Coach, not to talk too much about his status, but has Johnny Ford, I saw he went down and he really clenched his ankle. It looked really bad, but then you saw him walking on the sideline. What's his status as of today, especially going into an abbreviated game week?
Yeah, right now we're optimistic that he's going to be able to play. I got the question after the game, and all that I could say at that time was that I saw him walking around the locker room, and he was out there and was able to practice some today. So I think that's a good sign with it just being Monday, and as long as he doesn't re-aggravate anything, then we expect to have him Friday night.
Tulsa is coming to town Friday night, 7:30. Get into that game a little bit and a few other things as well when we continue on the USF Football Radio Network presented by Marathon. Bulls in Tulsa Friday night. This will be a 7:30 kickoff. It's an ESPN game, but you do have a chance to come out and watch the Bulls. Tickets are available for this one. 1-800-GO-BULLS or usfbullstix.com. Our coverage will begin at 5:30 on Friday night, and Coach, Tulsa is another one of those teams that doesn't have a lot of tape. They've played 2 games. They didn't get a chance to go at it against Cincinnati last weekend, but the 2 games they've played have been pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and obviously this being my first year coaching in the American Conference, I'm gaining more and more respect for the teams in this league each week. And it's one thing to look at someone's record from the year before and then turn on the tape, and man, everybody that we play is big. I mean, Tulsa, they've got linebackers that are 6'4", 245, 250 pounds, and they got corners that are all 6'2", 6'3", and I'm just very impressed. They really got after their 2 opponents that they played this year, and it's going to be an extreme challenge. I said last week that I felt like that Temple's offense was one of the best that we faced, and I really feel outside of Notre Dame that this Temple defense, what I can see in the 2 games, is going to be the best defense that we've played to this point. Very big, very strong, very athletic, and I got to give Coach a lot of credit. I think he's really done a good job of improving his roster, improving his size and his depth from maybe where they were a few years ago. So it'll be a big challenge for us, but we're definitely looking forward to getting back out there on the field Friday night.
Coach, you just commented on Tulsa's cornerbacks. I want to talk a little bit about some of your guys. I saw Daquan Evans in a lot at corner, and it was a little strange because I saw him in Mike Hampton's spot, and you guys have your view of Mike Hampton, but I've always seen Mike Hampton as a guy who's been very productive, and you don't hear about him much because they just don't throw to his side a ton. But talk about what led to Daquan Evans, the amount of time that he played compared to Mike Hampton actually being in the game and his production on defense this past weekend.
Yeah, Daquan Evans was probably one of the bright spots of the game, and he had some really nice pass breakups. I think you saw him play more this past week. We had a package where we moved KJ Sales into nickel to be able to cover because they had some talented slot receivers, and just felt like getting an extra cover guy in the middle would really be able to help us. So we did have some packages where Mike and Daquan Evans were on the outside, and KJ was over the slot. And then also maybe about halfway through the game there, we lost Mike. He got banged up and was really out pretty much the remainder part of the game. And so that is one benefit with Daquan being able to play earlier in the game. You're not taking somebody cold kind of off the sideline, but that's good because both KJ and Mike are seniors that are going to be probably moving on, and so it's really good to see someone like Daquan Evans step up, and then also freshman Ben Knox is getting some experience as well on special teams, and he's a guy I think that has a bright future for us.
Jared Sackett with another field goal. The field goal unit quietly consistent, I'd say, the last couple games, and that's a blessing. That's what you want to do, just have those automatics out there.
Yeah, that was another bright spot. I mean, obviously, we want to score touchdowns. And I think the one drive that we ended up kicking the field goal, was an opportunity down there, first down, inside the 20-yard line, where we really would like to have that possession back and maybe do a few things differently so we could have scored a touchdown. It could have been the difference in the game. But, I think from our field goal perspective, that was a big field goal, right? We're up 8, have a chance to make it 11. So it's really the first field goal that we've attempted that really kind of the game was in jeopardy and on the line. So that was a big field goal for Jarrett and just for his confidence and, really just the overall operation between the snapper, holder, kicker, protection. That was a benefit. It, depending on how we could have finished the game a little bit differently, that field goal could have been the difference.
Coach, is there a position group? I'm assuming it's receivers, but is there a position group that you find yourself spending more time with as the season progresses?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's easy for me because of my background with the wideouts. Really the past few weeks I've been with the quarterbacks and the wideouts just because, I think as a coach you look at your current team and your current talent and depth and you want to try to maximize your current team. And I just have felt, leading up to the last couple of weeks that we were close and just off a little bit timing-wise between our quarterbacks and receivers. And it really takes both groups doing their job. And, so I've really spent a lot of time with those guys. I think, the last 2 games we've definitely thrown the ball much better, throwing for, over 300 versus East Carolina and then having the 3 touchdown passes this past game. So I think there's been progress made there, but there's definitely a whole nother level that receiver and quarterback group can really reach this fall.
We saw a defined role for Noah Johnson in this game, and he was very effective throughout the game, got a couple of key late down conversions and helped the Bulls move the football.
Yeah, and Noah is Noah's not just a wildcat quarterback, and I know for us kind of in that game we had a certain role for him in some running situations, but I think people are going to have to respect him as a runner and a passer because he is our number 2 quarterback right now, and so he does the entire game plan. It's not a situation where sometimes people have a wildcat quarterback that's a running back or a receiver that just kind of has 3 or 4 package plays. I mean, he's really learning our entire offense game plan each week. And then I think for us, if there's an opportunity to use him, he does have some really good ability out in open space with the ball in his hands. And so, we're trying to use everybody that we have over on the sideline and trying to figure out their skill sets, what they bring to the table, and see if we can put all that together to have the success that we need to have to win these games.
Knock on wood here, but let's say Noah is unavailable one week. Can Jordan McLeod pretty much activate in that same package that you bring Noah Johnson in?
Yeah, he definitely can, and we're going to run Jordan. I think Jordan has some ability running the ball. I think if you look at that last drive, Jordan's legs on 2, I think, key third downs. Jordan's legs really helped us be able to go get that. So I think for us, bringing Noah in the game is not as much about us being concerned that Jordan cannot do that. It's really a compliment to Noah that here's a guy that has a lot of juice to him. He's got some ability, and if we can, allow him to step in there, and hey, that's a good breather for Jordan to be able to step over to the side as well. And so, it'll be something each game. There may be some different things here and there, and see if you can, try to, play a little cat and mouse with their defense coordinator who may have a different plan for each guy. But we definitely have confidence in Jordan. I think him being able to run the ball is part of who he is and his success at the quarterback position.
It's a little bit different this week, 1 day short going on Friday, and after that you have a bye week, a planned bye week when you know in advance you're not going to have a game. Do those 2 factors change how you use guys on Friday?
Well, I'm not sure if it really changes how we use our guys. I think it's definitely changed how we're preparing this week and just overall, the way we do our meetings, the way we do our practice, and obviously the open week having an opportunity for some guys to get healthy, and then also looking forward to scrimmaging some of the younger guys during the open week and let some of these guys that have been, working for us on the scout team let them kind of get some really good coaching and development work. But, I think just like you said, this is probably next week will be the first week where we know exactly what we're going to do on the weekend. Every other week you're hoping that you're playing, but you don't know exactly until that last test. But, I think our guys, especially the last couple of weeks, have been playing, trying to leave everything they had on the field. And that's really what hurt so much after this game Saturday is, our guys really, they laid it on the line. It's just, we made a couple mistakes. And when you're playing good teams and you don't quite have the as much room for error, then those few mistakes cost you the ball game.
Coach, is Bentley Sanders a guy that we might see this week? I know he was dealing with some injuries. We didn't see him this past weekend. How is he progressing?
Yeah, he is progressing. He's unfortunately been unavailable. There's a lot of things, obviously, during these COVID years or COVID months, if you would, that can get somebody unavailable, whether they, actually test positive or if they're around somebody that's positive, roommates. And, those things can linger for weeks on weeks, right? And so I'm hopeful that he'll be able to get back soon and we'll really be able to kind of solidify that back end on our defense.
Key thing you need to do against Tulsa Friday. What's the biggest item?
Yeah, I think it's to continue focusing on ourselves and how we do what we do. And, last week we talked a lot about alignment and assignment, and that's important every week. But I think it's the fundamentals. It's on third down, wrapping up when you have a guy, tackled for loss, not letting him get, 4 yards. It's whether you're a running back or quarterback, receiver, tight end carrying the ball. It's having those, 5 points of pressure on the ball and not letting the ball come out. So, for me, it's still focusing on ourselves and not really what we're doing, but how we do what we do.
Coach, my last question for you, how do you address the penalties in practice? And it was a bit surprising to me, and I think overall this team it's showing indications every week that they're well coached, right? I think the penalties that you saw later in the game were those fatiguing mistakes, right? Those mistakes that you make because you're fatigued and you're just not as mentally sharp as you were in the first half. But how do you address them in practice? Because it's not necessarily a thing that you can teach a guy outside of hand placement or eye control on the ball.
Yeah, we talk a lot about it, in one of the things on our plan to win board that we talk about all the time is be the least penalized team. And, that was another disappointment from the game Saturday. I think we were somewhere around maybe the top 10 least penalized teams going into the game Saturday, and then we had 9 penalties to their 5. And that was a difference of about 50 yards, right? So when you're talking about a game that comes down to 2 points, I think about, again, their second to last drive when they went down and scored a touchdown. We have them right there in 3rd and 7. We have a chance for a sack. We don't get it. One of our defensive linemen goes to tackle for, they're going to be 2 or 3 yards short and have to decide if they're going to punt it to us on 4th down. And, we grab the face mask. And that's a 15-yard penalty. And it just, those are those mistakes. But, how we address it in practice, we do have officials here at practice. And whenever we do have a flag, then that young man comes out of the off the field and does some up downs, does a reminder, and we just address it every time that we see it. And I think if you can practice in the right way of not allowing penalties in practice, then that carries over to the game.
Coach, thanks. Good luck Friday night against Tulsa.
Great, thank you.
Bulls and Golden Hurricane on ESPN, 7:30 Friday night, Raymond James Stadium. Tickets are available for this one at 1-800-GO-BULLS and USFBullsTix.com. Stay with us. We will continue with safeties coach Wes Neighbors after this on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back. Bulls at Raymond James Stadium Friday night against the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Safeties coach Wes Neighbors joins us now. Coach, thanks for taking some time for us, especially on a short week. This kind of throws the whole week off a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. But we got to keep grinding. Coach has a great method to the madness, and we've been able to get in there and get ready. And I think we'll have more than enough time by the end of it to be prepared to play this game. It's a short turnaround, but our guys came back. They're ready to go. They have great energy today at practice, and we're looking forward to the next one.
Coach, you've been around a lot of talent, and I'm especially looking at your time at Alabama. You coached a lot of guys who've had the opportunity to go on and play in the National Football League. What's the most important trait for a defensive back in today's game of football?
I mean, to me, it's all about just intangible eye control type play, making sure that their assignments sound, they're aligned right, they know what their keys are, and then they're reading their keys and playing full speed. And then because it's all about one-on-one matchups in today's game in the back end. There's a ton of RPOs, which are run-pass options. So every movement that you do, that quarterback's reading. If I step up in the box, they're gonna throw this up. If I stay, then they're gonna hand the ball off. So everything that you do is got to be just crystal clear. You know what I'm saying? They got to know 100% what they got. That footwork's got to stay the same each and every play, in order for them to go. And then nowadays, once you get that key, you got to go make the play and you got to tackle in space. So those to me are the biggest traits.
You are part of the group of coaches here that came to the Bulls from Florida Atlantic, and you had to build there as well when you first came there, and Coach Weiss and Coach Spencer, and by the time you left, you're 11-3. You've got a conference championship. You've got a bowl game win. Can you see parallels at the beginning of your time here at USF to the beginning of your time at Florida Atlantic, or is every situation different?
No, I think there's what's being built right now is that foundation that needs to be built in order to have the championships that South Florida craves and that South Florida will end up getting. No question about it. I see a lot of similarities in the build. There's a lot of really, really good buy-in right now to me. And Coach has said it, it's just about the little details. We're so close to getting to where we want to be as a team and as a program to make it to where instead of losing by 2, we win it by 4, and then it just keeps going and keeps going. And we have some really good players with really good buy-in right now, and they're seeing it. And once they see it, all right, and it's just like a domino effect. Everybody's seeing it, and then that goal it becomes so much closer to get. And then once it's grass, it's just we take that next step, and I think we're real close to that right now. Just being at FAU, it was just like that. And then just the longer we go, the more buy-in we have, the better off we're going to end up being in the long run. I think we're really close.
Coach, you have a really interesting room when you talk about just skill set. You talk about measurables, and then you see the production that these guys put on the field. I look at a guy like Bentley Sanders. I look at him as a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, a guy who can get in the return game and help you. He plays bigger than what he is. Absolutely. I really like Nick Roberts. I think he's a really consistent player. You got Micah Point, who I think he's an active player. I like to use the word active. You see him breaking up passes. He really disappointed me because he had an interception in his hands this past game, and he didn't take it.
Second play of the game.
And then you look at a guy like Vincent Davis, who's a heck of a tackler. Talk about what it's like to actually coach those guys, what's fun about it, and what messages you try to push to them considering their current skill set.
Well, the thing about it is what you just said, we have positions in our defense that kind of allow them to play to their strengths, right? And, not having that spring and all that, we're it took a little bit to kind of put the pieces exactly where they needed to go. And I think, we're starting to get to that. Unfortunately, Mackay and Bentley, they've been out a few games. Now they're coming back, and we're getting back to that kind of full strength type deal to where we can actually have our pieces where we want them to be. And the good thing about it is these guys have been around each other for a long time, right? So there's really good buy-in in the room. They ask really good questions, really good they take good notes. And it's fun to be around them. They got some good personality. They keep you on your toes in the meeting room and out there on the field. But it's been fun. They love the game, which is what that part makes it easy for me. Because, I'll tell you, one game, Vincent Davis was down. He couldn't finish the game and ended up he came out to practice. He looked like RoboCop out there, man. He had a knee brace on. He had an elbow brace on. He had stuff all over the place, but the guy came out there and he was like, I'm practicing because he wanted to play. And he played. Nick Roberts goes down with the groin at the end of the Cincy game. I mean, works his tail off in rehab, comes back the next game to play. That type of toughness, that that these guys have, that's something that, you can't teach necessarily. They got to have it, and our group has that. Like, I mean, and then talking about Mackay and Bentley, I mean, these guys, they're active. Like, Bentley traveled last week, wasn't able to play in the game, but the dude was locked in on the sideline getting these guys up because he wanted to play. That's stuff that you can't teach. And right now, I'm just extremely blessed to have the position group that we have right now. Really think that we're taking that next step and that next level, get to that next level that we want to be at.
Safeties coach Wes Neighbors is with us. All of the coaches on this staff have such interesting backgrounds, places they've played and places they've coached. You were a player and a coach at Alabama. You won national championships there. Your family has been involved. Your brother, even your granddad was involved with that program. What does the Alabama program mean to you? What did you learn from your time there?
The Alabama program, just in general, for a long time, it's like in my family, it's like the thing. That is like when we go sit around at the dinner table, that's like one of the first things that we talk about. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I was 2 years old, and I still have this remembering this. It's a spring game at Alabama, and I'm on the field, and like my dad is like holding me, and like I'm on the field, and the Alabama team's like running out, and I'm 2 years old, and he's having to pull me off the sidelines and all that stuff. It's just, that was my goal growing up. Like, I knew nothing else besides football. We didn't watch NFL. My grandfather played in the league for 8 years. We didn't watch the NFL. We watched the Alabama game, and then we didn't talk about Auburn. That's just that's kind of how it was. But I mean, and then when being a part of the program with Coach Saban, I mean, that's the guy who taught me everything I needed to know about being intangible. How to be a coach, how to be a man, the disciplines that it came with it. My position coaches were Jeremy Pruitt and Kirby Smart. The first guy that I ever worked under as a student assistant was Joe Judge, who's now the head coach of the New York Giants. So I GA'd for Kevin Steele, who's the DC at Auburn. So, like, all these people just taught me so much about ball and just so much about teaching progressions and what it means to be there for a kid in his life and help him take that next step. If it wasn't for Alabama and just my time there, I wouldn't be sitting here today, no question. I wouldn't be the father that I hope that I am and aspire to continue to be, or the husband that I hope that I am and continue to aspire to be. Those guys have helped me do everything in that program. That state has helped me get to where I want to be right now, and that's be here and win a championship with South Florida.
You look at Daquan Bowers, you look at Pat, you look at Charlie. All of these guys are young. You're also a fairly young coach. When you take a look at your horizon and where you have the opportunity to go as a coach, what is there to say about the game and young coaches finding a role in today's game? I think it's special because I had a guy in Chris Kosh who coached me my last year, and while he was a very strong-minded coach, he related to us in different ways.
That's right.
Because there was such an age gap.
Yeah.
But do you think there is a better upside to young guys coaching the players in today's game from a relatability standpoint?
Absolutely. I think that, there definitely is. You gotta find a way to get to the player, right? So I mean, as an older guy, you're thinking more like, I'm going to be gruff, I'm going to be disciplined on the guys and hard on the guys. At times, like, I find myself doing that at times, but as a younger coach, but at the same time, like, I got to find, like, I played, I guess, less than 10 years ago, right? And the game's changed somewhat, but, like, I got to kind of get my message through to them as I saw it when I was playing. And I think I'm able to relate with them a little bit more in that regards because it's not out of my system just yet. Does that make sense? So I think there definitely is, there's definitely a lot of positive to there being not as big as an age difference. But it's something that continues to evolve. I mean, the game, it's all about, at the end of the day, it's your knowledge of the game. If you have good knowledge of the game and the players understand that, then they're going to sit back and take notes and be active and be learning. So as long as I'm on top of my game, I know they're going to be on top of their game.
Wes Neighbors, thanks for joining us. Good luck against Tulsa.
Thank you.
We are going to stay in the defensive secondary and talk with Mekhi LaPointe when we return on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back to Bulls in Tulsa Friday night, Raymond James Stadium, 7:30. Mekhi LaPointe joins us. He is the only Bull with 2 interceptions this year, even though Sam's going to ask him about the one that got away. He has made 2 interceptions this season, and it's great to see you healthy again, Mekhi. Welcome back to the lineup. Had a good game up in Philadelphia last weekend. You settling in, feeling comfortable now?
Yes, sir. You got a new defense, so it's always a challenge learning a new defense. But, yeah, I'm starting to feel more comfortable within the scheme, and I'm just trying to make plays.
Mekhi, I won't beat you up too much about the drop interception because I really believe you're a heck of a player, and I think you got a lot of football left in front of you. But talk about you drop an interception. It's easy to go back out to practice and get on the jugs machine and catch 15, 20 interceptions. But what do you think? How do you practice that mentally? How do you get over the mental hump of making sure the next time a ball is in front of you, you take that one away?
Well, the great part about it is that I'm not doing it by myself. When I dropped the interception, my teammates, they got on me a little bit. But after about 5 minutes, it was like, just get the next one. I know you'll get another opportunity, so just go back out there and just play your game. So that's what I did.
That's awesome.
You're an Armwood High guy, and you got hurt your senior year. You missed some time. How difficult was that when you're trying to get lined up to go to the next level, and you're finishing up your high school career, and you have to deal with injuries?
Yeah, it's tough. I tore my meniscus my senior year in high school, so it was tough. But I just had to push through and just know that I have another opportunity waiting on me. So I just got to do rehab, practice more, stretch more, everything more, just to be ready for the next level.
Now, you are a Tampa guy, but there are a lot of Tampa guys who wind up playing ball outside of Tampa and not with the USF Bulls. But what was the deciding factor? What made you want to stay in the city of Tampa and come home and play for the Bulls?
I have to say family. Some of my friends here, that's really the support system in Tampa. I had other offers, but really it just came down to who could I count on here. I had my family, my friends, and a whole support system behind me. So I just feel like that was the right decision.
Some of the best player interviews we have are with guys in the defensive secondary. I mean, KJ obviously, and
Yes,
then
sir.
Bentley is terrific. Tell us a little bit about the camaraderie and the relationships in that defensive back room.
I think it's great. Mike's from Tampa, Bentley's from Tampa, and then I came in with Bentley and Nick. So that was a good thing right there we had going on. And then Smoke, Vincent Davis came in when he was a freshman and he played. So he's basically in our class. And then KJ just came and he's from Tampa as well. So it's all really cohesive.
I want to talk about the student part of Mekhi LaPointe, right? You come to college to do 2 things mostly: play ball and get a degree. But you got your associate degree while you were in high school.
Yes, sir.
So that means you know what the future looks like for Mekhi LaPointe. Talk about when you put the cleats up and you're done, what is the remainder of life look like for you?
When I put the cleats up and I'm done, it's hard to imagine right there. But probably just get a job, just try to take care of my family, just try to do it at the best. Really, football teaches you a lot, so I just know I got to get up every morning and go get it, just like football.
Awesome.
You guys work so hard every week, and so far the results you want aren't quite there yet. Coach says, and we see it broadcasting the games, that things are progressing, that you're getting closer. But how difficult is it to keep that work ethic where it needs to be, to keep the buy-in when you're not quite having the results you want yet?
You'd think it'd be a little more difficult, but we just know we're so close and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we're just trying to go to practice every day and just work, put in the work, because we know that leaf will turn over eventually.
Mekhi, how difficult is it for you and your teammates to be college students, train, go to class, and do everything, and make sure you're staying compliant under the new rules that the university has put in place to combat COVID, and to make sure that infections or the spread of COVID is mitigated?
It's a little tougher. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely an adjustment period, but I mean, every college student's going through it, every athlete seems to be going through it, so we just gotta really adjust and just roll, just keep going.
You're adjusting to a new coaching staff, and when we were talking with West Neighbors a few minutes ago, Sam brought up the youth of this coaching staff. I mean, this is one of the youngest in America. Good thing, bad thing, adjustment, or just overall fun?
I say it's a good thing, I guess they're a little younger, so it's just I feel like they can relate more sometimes. I really wouldn't say it's anything negative about it. They still know what they're doing, so it's, what I'm saying, still great coaches. It's just, yeah, I wouldn't have anything negative to say about that.
On the offensive side, who's the guy where when he lines up in front of you, whether it's one-on-ones and he's a receiver or a tight end, or it's in the team's drills, who's the guy on offense where he brings it and he's going to give you a test and he makes you that much better of a player?
I have to say, Bryce Miller, very low-key guy, doesn't really say much, but when he comes to practice, he practices, and he's a great route runner, great hands, so you just know where you line up against him, you got to have your technique right.
We broadcasters love to make a big thing out of a short week when you're not playing the traditional Saturday game.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that make your schedule go haywire? Is it a big thing, or is it kind of talked about too much?
I wouldn't say it's really a big thing. You just got to move up everything one day usually. I mean, it's usually the same schedule, just moved up one day, so you just got to come prepared that next week and just be ready to play again.
Do you think about yourself or your gameplay from a recovery standpoint when you lose a day? Sometimes that extra day to a player, it means an extra day to recover. How do you compensate for losing that day, but also make sure you recover so you can go out and perform on Friday night?
Compensating, I say just put in a little bit more extra film time. That can never hurt. And then on the back end of that, you could just we like to get a little bit more treatment because we don't have that extra day to rest. So you just get in the treatment room a little bit more.
Sam touched a little bit on academics. When you're into football season, and people may not realize just how demanding it is. I mean, you just got off a plane a couple of days ago, and you're right back at it into the work week and taking classes and doing your job. How's the balance for work and school? You obviously take it very seriously, but it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. The balance, it can be difficult sometimes, but after a while you get used to it. Just taking about 4 to 5 classes every semester, you just know when you got to do your work, when to stay on top of it, when you could fall back a little bit more, focus on football. So it's just a process.
If you weren't playing football right now, what other sport would it be and why?
If I wasn't playing football, other sport, I haven't really played anything else. I mean, I ran track for about 1 to 2 years, but I guess track. I'd probably be running track, probably the 400.
Okay.
Keep playing football. We're looking forward to seeing you Friday night out there. Thanks a lot for taking time for us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Mekhi LaPointe will be on the field for the Bulls Friday night against Tulsa. Stay with us. Sam and I back to wrap it up after this on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Bulls going up against Tulsa. Tulsa coming off an impressive win in Orlando over UCF. Didn't get a chance to play their game last week, but they have shown a lot in their 2 games they have played. Sam, for the Bulls, you want to see these guys get rewarded. They're doing a lot of things right. They're clearly making progress. Next step, get a win.
Yeah, and one of the things I really enjoyed coming from Coach Scott today, he talked about the margin of error, and what he said is, and I think this is the case for a lot of schools during this COVID era right now, right? You don't necessarily have the leisure to make mistakes. What I mean by that is you're already playing with a roster that you typically wouldn't see if COVID wasn't around. You're seeing a lot of freshmen play. You see a guy like Dwayne Boyles where if he's had the opportunity to play every game, he would have made a significant amount of progress throughout the year because while he is a vetted guy on this roster. He's only a junior, right? So he's a guy who can benefit from playing a lot more football. And when that doesn't happen, a guy isn't making the plays he should make. So because of that, guys have to understand the importance of mental execution. It's not always about making the big hit or who runs the fastest or who can out jump a receiver or defensive back. Sometimes it's just spending that much more time in the playbook and understanding your assignment, thinking through your assignment every time, because I think that's the difference. You get what I'm saying? A very simple handoff between Jordan McLeod and the running back. It was lost, and I saw it was a mental thing because Jordan McLeod, he looked back to the running back, watched the guy walk into the end zone, look back at the running back again. So I think guys are just thinking too much right now, but at the same time, that's going to be the case when you have a new offensive and defensive scheme. And Jeff Scott, he's putting a lot of onus on his players. He's trying to take them to places that they haven't been in the past few years. So I respect the way he's going about it. I told him it's very exciting to watch his team play, and I think that's something that the fans nor the players have had the opportunity to experience over the past 2 years.
7:30 on Friday night. Our coverage begins at 5:30. TV is on ESPN. Fans allowed, limited fans in this game, so get your tickets quickly for the Bulls in Tulsa Friday night. We have an open week after this. It's an open week on our broadcast schedule as well. We're back with this show 2 weeks from today on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon.